All right, shalom, shalom. First off, give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, by Hashem, Yahweh Shai, by Hashem, Rakar Kadash, giving double honors to the apostles and the elders of GMS who taught me this truth. Salutes and honors to the elect, all the brothers across the four corners who are enduring in both truth and sincerity, and all the men and women who follow. To the brother Kratazah from the Fountain of Living Waters, coming back at you with another lesson through the spirit and power of Yahweh by Hashem, Yahweh Shai. This lesson being entitled, Natural Disasters Are Paving the Way for the Great Reset. So I got a couple videos I want to go through and just explain the whole concept of the video, Lord, what this is edifying, and what it's going to come to here in the near future. So, we know that Texas is being hit with, these flash floods, and certain other regions around the country have had natural disasters. We're going to go through them here, and it's all for one purpose, right? They're trying to, number one, get resources. If you do the research and just look up, like a lot of the times where these so-called natural disasters are happening, there's lithium, or it's prime farmland or prime real estate. There's always a deeper meaning behind or a reason for it, because that's why I put so-called natural disasters. I put the parentheses around it, because there's so-called natural disasters, right? When you're dealing with cloud seeding, I believe I got a video in here. The lady goes into it, but this cloud seeding, you're able to produce a big storm like this that would create this kind of chaos. So, like I said, Lord, this is edifying. We're going to get into these videos.
What do you mean?
Crazy. The sound of the rain, the river that's flowing through your neighborhood. It's crazy to be experiencing something like this. This is Osaki. This is in North Carolina. This is in Texas. This is in North Carolina. This week. No water is in North Carolina. So this is North Carolina. This should be Texas. Here we go.
Bomb has dropped on Texas.
The rain came down 12 inches or more per hour. That river rose 26 feet in 45 minutes.
Causing 4 months of rain in just 24 hours. Microbursts, really heavy downpours of rain bombs are becoming more common today. The creation of microbursts and rain bombs can be influenced by cloud seeding. Cloud seeding is using chemical agents, chemtrails, to increase cloud condensation to the point of creating precipitation. Operation Popeye was a military cloud seeding project that helped the United States win the Vietnam War. Operation Popeye's goal was to increase rainfall in carefully selected areas, to soften the road surfaces, causing landslides among roadways, washing out river crossings, ultimately to deny the Vietnamese military supplies and use of their roads. We know cloud seeding can influence the weather to create microbursts and rain bombs. Cloud seeding and chemtrailing is not a conspiracy. In fact, Tennessee passed a bill recently, SB 2691, prohibiting chemtrailing, specifically the intentional injection or release of chemicals or chemical compounds of any kind into the atmosphere with the express purpose of changing the temperature or modifying the weather. Cloud seeding. Rain bomb has dropped on Texas.
Right. They're also going back, and Disney is like editing old videos or old movies from the 90s, like The Lion King and stuff like that. And they're putting um, the chemtrails in those movies, because if you watch any movie from the 80s, from the 70s, from the 90s, and you look at the sky, you don't see those lines in the sky. When I was a kid growing up in the 90s, you didn't see that. You might see a plane in the air and the little bit of, exhaust that comes from the plane, but that quickly dissipates and you don't see anything. But now you see long streaks going across the sky. And it's that barium oxide that for cloud seeding that and it's just raining down bullshit on us, making us sick. Okay. Hey, and they drop a rain bomb on you, it's gonna flood your whole town. Bear with me here. This is in New Mexico.
Alicia, get up and sit down.
All over the country.
No. Oh my God. Holy shit.
Matter of fact, there's actually a video that I want to get with he's one of the here we go. One of the main guys, like law enforcement. Just bear with me. Damn. Yeah, bear with me here. Might be that video. No, I don't think it is. Here we go. No, that's not it. Dang. Let me try something real quick. Y'all bear with me here. Don't. That's close. That's not. Here it is. Call you Shy.
Why was the National Weather Service not pinging our phones before 7 o'clock this day of 4th of July? We need federal people to answer that maybe for us. I got updates at 7 o'clock. First one I heard, and I've heard updates throughout the week, but not before 7 o'clock in the morning. Wasn't that a fundamental failure of the federal government's responsibility to keep us safe?
Well, you know, my background is before I was in the secretary position here.
I need this guy. I'm close though. We're getting close.
My focus isn't on trying to say, oh, you did wrong.
It's not that easy when you just push a button, okay?
You have many questions. Hang on.
No. Who's to blame? My focus isn't on trying to say, oh, you did wrong.
It's not that easy when you just push a button, okay?
You have many questions. Hang on.
No. Who's to blame? That's the word choice of losers.
Texas officials are really getting questioned about the emergency response during the flooding.
Okay.
Dang, y'all bear with me here because what he says, he gives how fast the rain came down.
It's my job as sheriff here to do, okay?
With all due respect, sir, I think that the community here is asking these questions. What happened? When did it happen? Was the emergency manager awake at the time? Did they push the button to issue an emergency alert?
Sir, it's not that easy when you just push a button, okay? There's a lot more to that. And we've told you several times.
So did it happen?
I can't tell you at this time.
You
Okay.
can't tell me if the emergency manager of the sheriff actually issued an emergency alert. Okay. Sheriff, who is, just give me a second. Emergency Operations Center. Who runs
To be fair, you know, we did come across this. They're grilling these people because it's about 120 people died. You know, all the damage, all the people who lost their houses, lost their cars, probably lost pets and all their possessions. People are mad and they want to know, hey, how come we didn't know? But that's why I want to find the video because this guy right here, he tells you why.
Why was the National Weather Service not pinging?
Exactly, Robin. Many residents are very frustrated about that, demanding answers from officials. But here on the ground, you can actually see several search and rescue crews. Exactly, Robin. Many residents.
Why was
I'm Ernie Zuniga with KSAT 12 in San Antonio. A question for the sheriff. The code red alert system has come under a lot of scrutiny, and
the community here is asking these questions. What happened? When did?
Let me see.
Why was the National Weather Service not pinging our phones before 7 o'clock?
I'm just trying to ask once I find the actual video. Jeez. Hold on, I'm gonna pause this so that you ain't gotta keep watching me, sir. Okay, I didn't find the video I was looking for, but I got close enough. So I just explained everything this guy is gonna say is what was said in the video I was looking for, but he added the fact that this is a valley, so of course the water is gonna run downhill, and there's two different water sources that converged into one water source, which caused the flood. So we'll check these two videos out just so we get an idea on just how much water this was.
The rain came down 12 inches or more per hour. That river rose 26 feet in 45 minutes. It was a dry bed. It had been dry. There wasn't a lot to absorb it. It went down the rocks, and it was a destructive flood, taking property and sadly lives. the rain came down 12 inches.
Check this out.
This is what 120 billion gallons of water looks like from those 12 inches of rain that fell around central Texas in the hours leading up to this catastrophic flooding. Those rivers rose about 26 feet in a matter of 45 minutes. That's less than an hour. How do you even wrap your head around the sheer volume of water? Well, for comparison's sake, here's Niagara Falls pumping about 757,000 gallons of water a second over those falls. Now that works out to 45 million gallons of water a minute, 2.7 billion gallons of water an hour, or 65 billion gallons a day, or roughly half the 120 billion we just saw hit Texas.
Right. So 120 billion gallons in an hour, which is 2 days worth of water going over Niagara Falls. That's how you come up with something like this. So not only that, remember going back to what I was saying, last year you had those Hawaiian wildfires, which devastated everything, which is allowing people to come in and harvest the land. Whatever this was is gone. If you own this property, guess what? You sold it, somebody bought it, and they're going to repurpose it for their own purposes, right? Which we'll get into that here pretty soon. You had the California wildfires, right? Which totally ran through most of Southern California and some of North Cal as well, but mostly Southern California. Totally obliterated, a lot of these places. And guess what? If you owned, now you sold, you probably didn't get too much from insurance. A lot of these fires aren't covered by insurance. A lot of people lost out. You had those. I believe it was a hurricane last year that came through and destroyed North Carolina, and like the North Carolina, Kentucky, Virginia, Tennessee area just completely wiped it out. A lot of natural disaster, or natural resources that they found over there not too long ago. Get the old people out, get the new people in, get the resources, make money. That's what it's all about, making money. All right. And then really there's a video I want to play. Before I play the video, like maybe a 15-minute video or so, I just want to go into, like I said, the main purpose of the video, because all of these natural disasters are just paving the way for the Great Reset. Well, how? How are all these disasters paving the way for the Great Reset? Well, it's opening up real estate. When you have real estate, when you have land, you can now implement these 15-minute cities, which they want people to be in these 15-minute cities. Like I said, of course, they're getting the resources out of these places, but they want to implement these 15-minute cities so that they can put you into these places. So it's a new concept, but it's not. It's an old concept. It's an old concept that they're bringing back to make new, right? And Lord's word, this is edifying. So let's just go back and grab the scriptures. Genesis 11:1, it says, and the whole earth was of one language and of one speech. And that's part of the New World Order's principles. They want everybody to speak the same language, worship the same God, just be all in unison. The one world government, right? Novus Ordo Seclorum. I know I'm butchering this, but this is Google. Dollar. Anuit Coeptus. Okay, I'm thinking of something else, but Anuit Coeptus. He favors our undertakings, right? Which is the New World Order. But that Novo Otis Secorum, where am I thinking of that? I think that's on the flag. Eagle on flag holding same. Yes, I think that's it. Bam, there we go. Hey, call Shai. E pluribus unum, that's what it is. E pluribus unum, which is out of many, one. So out of many countries, out of many languages, out of many religions, one. They want just one, right? So going back to the scripture, the whole earth is of one language and of one speech. This is going into the tower, which we should know that, I'm just breezing through it. It says, and it came to pass as they journeyed from the east that they found a plain in the land of Shinar, and they dwelt there. And they said one to another, go, let us make brick and burn them thoroughly. And they had brick for stone, and slime they had for mortar. And they said, go to, let us build us a city and a tower whose top may reach into heaven. Let us make us a name, lest we be scattered abroad upon the face of the whole earth. And the Lord came down to see the city and the tower, which the children of men builded. And the Lord said, behold, the people is one, and they have all one language, and this they begin to do, and now nothing will be restrained from them, which they have imagined to do. Go to, let us go down, and there confound their language, that they may not understand one another's speech. And so the Lord scattered them from abroad, and from thence upon the face of the whole earth, and they left off to build the city. Right? So, story of the Tower of Babel, right? The Lord confounded the language. They couldn't all conspire together. So that prevented it in that time. Well, going into the time of the Maccabees, first Maccabees 1 and starting at 41, it says, moreover, King Antiochus wrote to his whole kingdom that all should be one people, and everyone should leave his laws. So all the heathen agreed to the commandment of the king. Yea, many also of the Israelites consented to his religion, and sacrificed unto idols and profaned the Sabbath. For the king had sent letters by messengers unto Jerusalem and the cities of Judah that they should follow the strange laws of the land. So Antiochus Epiphanes also tried to do this, trying to make out of many one. All right, and that's the goal of this New World Order as well. So I'm gonna pull up these pictures that I have. Let me see. Dang it! All right, y'all bear with me because I thought I gotta pull them back up. I gotta have them available to go through them. I thought I was good, but guess not. All right, here we go. And then it don't even want to pop up. All right, there we go. All right, so all right, control it like that. All right, so I'll go ahead and I'll start playing the video, and I'd much rather just play the audio, and then to show these pictures opposed to having to read, everything. I just don't want to get a strike. But just to set up the scene, this is what they want to make a 15-minute city out of, right? Because they still have all this land back here that they can, do new construction on. But this is what that 15-minute city, this is what they want them to look like. All right, so I'll go ahead and play the video.
I'm standing in an illegal neighborhood. Well, it's not illegal right here, but it is.
And they're calling it an illegal neighborhood because normally you can't build like this. Right? There has to be ample parking. There's zoning regulations. He's gonna get into all of that. But matter of fact, I'll just let him speak.
It is currently illegal to build this way in most of the country. We're at Cul-de-sac, a walkable community in Tempe, Arizona, with apartments, shops, and restaurants, but no parking. Why do this? Well, think about Budapest, Amsterdam, Tokyo, Paris.
That's a much better way to build a city instead of the sprawl of Phoenix.
Matter of fact, let me I'll go ahead and I'll play that over here just so that you get the idea on what he was saying. So look how Budapest is made. Everything's more condensed. Here in America, everything is spread out, but everything is so condensed over here. Paris, yeah, let me see if I can get Paris from the bird's eye view. Yeah, bear with me. I agree, this is a much better way to build a city. Like, you got your little streets or whatnot, but you have these long, avenues that will get you anywhere throughout the city. And, kind of difficult to see what I really want to focus in on. Really? All right. So, like, you can see right here, like one city block, what we would call a city block, is probably much larger than one city block. But you can see everything takes up the outside, then it's hollow on the inside. How it is in America, it's more dense on the inside and hollow on the outside of the streets. That makes sense. But in Paris, everything is pretty dense, as you can see. And all roads lead here. This is the city center. And then from here, you can get anywhere in the city. If you're in America, let me see. Like, everything is more spread out. You got to get on the interstate to go anywhere. It's much more difficult to get around the city. Even though they say it makes it easier, it's really more difficult. So let me
Budapest, Amsterdam, Tokyo, Paris.
That's a much better way to build a city instead of the sprawl of Phoenix.
This might seem like a new way of building a neighborhood, but
that's the visual I was looking for. So this is what America looks like, suburban America. But this is the visual I was looking for. You have the living quarters, on the outside, and it's hollow within, to do whatever you want. Just like it makes a whole neighborhood. That's a neighborhood. That's a neighborhood. That's a neighborhood. That's a neighborhood. And all collectively, they're neighbors. So we
a new way of building a neighborhood, but it's actually the way we've been doing it for millennia.
It's building the kind of
right. So let me see. Historically, this is what neighborhoods look like. That's why I said it's a old concept that they're bringing new. They did it in Greece. They did it in the Tower of Babylon, and they're doing it now. And the concept is, well, how did people live in the ancient world? People lived in communities like this, kind of stacked on top of each other, and within this, you had everything that you would need. You had your living space. You had different places to shop to get food, or to get clothing, or to trade your goods, or whatever is needed in the area. And if it worked in the ancient world, it'll work today. So that they're just bringing back an old concept and making it new.
walkable neighborhoods that we built before cars with modern technology.
Could something like this change the way we live?
Immediately, yes.
We couldn't pass it up.
I haven't mastered it yet.
If this can work here, it can work basically anywhere.
We're entering a very exciting era.
This is Hard Reset. Welcome to Tempe, Arizona, a great place to buy unpainted furniture.
If you can find lower prices anywhere, my name ain't Nathan, Arizona.
But that's not why we're here.
We usually don't show me traveling on these episodes. We just kind of show up somewhere and do something cool. But we're trying to see what it's like when cars aren't necessarily something at your disposal. This is the first time we've traveled for a shoot with all this gear and not rented a car.
Now, why is that impactful, not having a car? The main thing about this, if you live in one of these neighborhoods, you can't have a car. Now, if we go back to the first slide, yeah, it does show a parking lot. They're going to explain that. But the whole purpose of being in these 15-minute cities is it goes back into the what's it called? The Slovakia. I'm having a brain fart right now. Just bear with me. ESG, that's what it is. The ESG score. So an ESG score is a rating that assesses a company's performance and environmental, social, and governance factors. These scores typically range from 0 to 100, help investors and other stakeholders evaluate a company's sustainability and ethical practices. Higher scores indicate better management of ESG ratings and opportunities. So the environmental part, if you have a gas guzzler, you're basically using up more of the environment. That's more of your share. You're putting out more carbon. You're using more gas. It just takes more resources that you're using, so that will lower your score. So that's one main reason why they want to put you in one of these 15-minute cities, because it'll keep your ESG score down. That's what they're saying.
your disposal. This is the first time we've traveled for a shoot with all this gear and not rented a car.
For this episode, we committed to using public transportation and ride shares because we're going somewhere that is all about rethinking our relationship with cars. This is Cul-de-sac, a neighborhood in Tempe, Arizona that is trying something new.
Cul-de-sac is a developer and property manager that builds walkable mixed-use neighborhoods.
This is Ryan. He loves this rug. I mean, this can't be a coincidence, right? The general idea here is pretty simple. It's a neighborhood. You rent an apartment, put your stuff there, and live your life. The difference is that you don't have a parking spot. Your car cannot move in with you.
If we didn't do this way, we would have had to either build a structured parking garage with height, or if we did ground parking, it would have had to use much of the land that we have left.
To be clear, the first thing we saw when we arrived was a parking lot. Caught red-handed. But it's actually not what you think. More on that later. The important thing to know is that this parking area isn't for residents. So instead of a dedicated parking spot, you get a neighborhood that has a lot more open space and nicer amenities.
That really frees up the urban design. When we did our first charrette, where you bring in the architects, the landscape engineers, the owners to make the first design, the landscape architect, she said, Ryan, this is going to be my favorite project because every charrette starts with how are we going to park it? And it severely restricts the design from the very beginning and for the worse. Well, instead you get 55% landscape space and you get lots of retail. We have 18 retailers here and there's not the eyesore of street parking or a parking garage.
But we weren't kidding earlier when we said building a neighborhood like this is illegal in most of the United States.
The biggest reason we don't have more walkable neighborhoods is because they're illegal. Zoning has made it so that we have to build sprawl, we have to build parking, which means that things are really spread out, which means that people have to have a car. And then we look at people having a car and we mistake that for people wanting a car, but it's actually because they didn't have a choice. New development of all kinds requires adding a lot of parking. If you want to build a bar to serve alcohol to people, you're required to build parking spaces so that they can drive there. And I don't think that makes sense at all.
I don't know, it sounds convenient to have your car parked nearby after you've been drinking. Oh, forget I said that.
Walkable neighborhoods are illegal, but I'm not in handcuffs here today. And it's because the city council passed this unanimously where they let us be the first developer to build without residential parking. We looked all over the country for places where this could work. You need to have a growing market with job growth. You need to have a great piece of land. But you also need to have a forward-looking government and a place that welcomes growth. We found all those things here.
But once you've built the complex, it's only going to work if you have other ways for people to get around.
The way that we get a neighborhood to work without private vehicles, it's things like the light rail, AV ride hail, electric bikes, electric scooters, Lyft and Uber, and also car rental services by the hour. And collectively, this lets people choose the right mode of transportation for their journey.
This is what Ivy League universities you can get into with a 3.6 GPA.
90%.
That's pretty different from most Americans.
This is for their journey.
That's pretty different from most American cities.
This is the American dream of freedom on wheels.
Especially the suburbs, which are built around the assumption of car ownership. Why? Because there's no good access to public transportation. But there's usually no good access to public transportation because the neighborhoods are built around car ownership. It's a vicious cycle, reinforced by zoning laws, and it's the reason that Americans own more cars than almost any other country in the world. Except New Zealand? Weird. Anyway, by failing to make cities walkable or connect places with easy public transit, we've created a culture addicted to cars. Ironically, as a result of the fact that we need them to get practically anywhere, we romanticize cars and the open road as symbols of freedom, even though this dependence actually limits our mobility choices.
It's misguided. The average new vehicle costs $48,000. The average monthly payment, monthly costs over $900. This is a real burden on everyone.
But it doesn't matter how many downsides there are to car ownership if there aren't good alternatives people can choose instead. That's why developments like Cul-de-sac are trying to give people that choice back. So, what's it like? The apartments at Cul-de-sac are basically exactly what you'd expect. They're apartments.
Here's a look at one of our one-bedroom units.
Nice kitchen to cook in with a lot of room, a lot of top space, living area, and then breakfast nook over here.
Perfect.
Sweet.
You have the space to entertain. You can come back into your bedroom, and then you get this large walk-in closet.
This could be an office.
Right.
This could be a 2-bedroom apartment in
Right.
San Francisco. Nice bathroom, nice walk-in shower too.
Yep.
All right, I'm impressed. Does the place come with a sound guy and a PA and a producer?
Those actually, we can discuss that on the leasing contract, but this one does come with storage.
Oh, okay, very nice.
The apartments here are cozy and well laid out, but cul-de-sac isn't trying to hard reset the individual apartment.
Our units cost $1,400 to $2,800. That's similar to other new construction here in this market. And the square footage is similar to other new projects.
The nicest and most interesting feature is the neighborhood they're a part of, a network of residential, commercial, and shared communal spaces.
You can feel how much cooler it is than being directly in the sun.
Yeah,
but
it feels remarkably cool in here.
Right, like having no asphalt, having these really walkable channels helps keep it significantly cooler than the surrounding area.
Each little city block is self-contained and has nice, comfortable shared social areas. They're connected by cozy little alleyways that are comfortable to walk and bike around in. It feels really nice.
We have the resident barbecues, and you often see folks coming out here after work.
So these little courtyards kind of sprinkled throughout the community.
Yeah, a bunch of these third spaces for people to connect.
It's very nice.
This layout isn't new. They compare it to Mykonos, a city in Greece. In fact, it feels a lot like some of the earliest human cities ever built. We've always designed cities around the transportation that's available at the time. Machu Picchu, walking. Venice and Amsterdam, waterways. New York, trains. American suburbs, cars. So the bet here is that current emerging technologies will leave their imprint on our cities as well.
What are these?
So,
this is James. He's in charge of all things transportation at Cul-de-sac. I don't know why I asked him what a bike is.
these are the most popular electric bike that is sold in the US.
It's pretty tight. I have a large head. This is, oh, it was off.
I want to make it clear I do know how to ride a bike.
I am not sure I'm using this thing properly.
Electric bikes are a sneaky important technology. It's not just a slight evolution of bikes. You could travel 16 times the area.
You said earlier you're going to ride your bike to the airport.
Yes.
Which I have to tell you, did not compute.
I've even biked out probably 30 miles. There are a series of paths that get you to downtown Tempe, to ASU. We're working with the city on protected bike lanes up to an outdoor mall. Those places connect with the broader canal trails, which can get you to the rest of the region.
My watch wants to know if I'm doing a workout.
Going back to what I was saying earlier, let me see if I still have that. Yeah, here we go. So if you build a city like this, and then you have these style of houses or whatnot, and you do the electric bicycles, you can get anywhere within the city. Now, you'll stay within your little 15-minute city, but however they set it up, they want you to be able to do anything within your general area. But let's be real, it's a lot of people, so they're gonna have multiple 15-minute cities within, you would say, one little city area. And let me see, map. Let me see. Google map of Los Angeles. Just go into here. So when you go into LA, you have all these different neighborhoods, right? Lake Forest, Mission Viejo, Long Beach, Torrance, all different cities, right? Covina, San Bernardino, you get in there, and Santa Monica, Malibu, Calabasas, Thousand Oaks, Inglewood, Compton, all these different neighborhoods, right? So when you get into Beverly Hills, when you get into these neighborhoods, you can put so many 15-minute cities within all these different neighborhoods, you know. And then the city of Los Angeles isn't going to be a 15-minute city with just Los Angeles. It's going to be a conglomeration of 15-minute cities, you know, because just think about how many people, because it's 8 billion people right now, and they want to keep it under, what do they say? 2 billion. So if according to the Georgia Guidestones, let's just fact check that. Maintain humanity under 500 million. Slovakia, I said 2 billion, under 500 million. You know, so that's killing 7 point. So from then it was 4.5. Right now we're sitting at, let's see, the world population should be around 8. World population is at 8.23 billion. So hey, let's kill 7.75 billion people, and let that half a billion people live in a 15-minute city. Which, if you spreading that around, you probably don't need as much. A city like this, where you at? A city like this might hold a couple hundred people. Hey, and that's all you need for a good stretch. So I stand corrected. If it's only a half a billion people on the whole world, and this just be clear, the whole world's population, if they were all standing together, can fit in Texas, can fit into the state of Texas. So if you take an eighth of that, that's more than an eighth. Let me see. That's like almost 1/9. What state is 1/9 the size of Texas? That's like freaking Delaware or some shit. Okay, so South Carolina. So imagine the world fitting in Texas, and now it moves into the size of South Carolina. I know I'm kind of getting away from the video, but just want to bring some clarity. So the whole world's population can fit here after if they were to go through with their New World Order and eliminate all those people, then the world's population would be able to fit into here. So if we go back to this map right here, and we kind of zoom out, right? So now we have the whole United States. So Texas is now taking up, the majority of this screen, right? Now let's just go east and see how much screen South Carolina's taking up. not very much at all. So that's a lot of people. So you would need, you know, a lot of people. Well, let's do this. How many people in the world per square mile? Right now, it's 143 people per square mile. So take 143, and let's say we divide that or times that by point. Will be generous 0.8. That's oh, my math's not mathing right. 143 divided by 0.8. That can't be right. 143 people per square mile, and this is divided by 9. So now you're looking at 15 people per square mile over the whole world. You know, so yeah, they could. So if that's about 16, let's say 16 people. So if you got 500 million people, right? Let's say 500,000 or 500 million. 500 million, all right? And you divide that by the 16 people per square mile to have the same spacing pretty much as before. All right, this. So if you had 31,250,000 15-minute cities, you could do that. It's all spread out, you know, and it seems like a high number, but when you think about it's 300 million people in America, you know, so all you would have to do is just make up, you know, maybe is all right. So, and let's say you put in 150 people in each one of them, divided by 150. Now, bam, that's really all you need. 200, 208. If I'm doing the math right, maybe I messed up. I don't know. Y'all be the judge, but you know, and you're spreading these out throughout the world. Remember, it's not just here in America. It's not just in California, or you know, throughout all the countries, including China and Russia and Mexico and Brazil, America. You know, all of Africa and Australia, South America, Europe. You know, you could spread some people out. You could spread some people really thin, and it wouldn't, you know, people wouldn't have a way to get to the next 15-minute city. And then it would allow the elites to take over all the good places, you know, be down in Florida chilling, down in the Caribbean islands and all of that. Why put a 15-minute city there, right? It's a pretty much a paradise. And you know, they will want access to all these places while you sitting in the house, you know, in your little, you know, 15-minute condo. Not even a condominium, not even a mini condo. It's like joke. But let me see. It's a little bit more to this. Kind of skip forward. Bear with me.
Let's
aren't for the residents. They're
Here we go.
Do this, and we've created here.
Like we said earlier, we caught cul-de-sac red-handed with a parking lot. But those parking spots aren't for the residents. They're actually for the retail businesses.
So if you want to have retail, you need to be able to accept customers from outside. And when you're in a car-dependent place like Phoenix, you're going to need lots of parking. We didn't realize how successful retail would be and how much of a part of the community that it would be. So we have a handful of larger retail spots, but we also have some of these live-work units. They're 500 square feet. They have rents comparable to residential leases and residential lengths. When you lower the barrier for entrepreneurship, it really allows a lot of thriving.
So these units, they're studio units, they're bedrooms, but we permitted them for live work because we thought, maybe down the road at full occupancy, some residents might be interested in opening businesses, but these actually were some of the first units to lease.
After my trip to Tokyo, I was like, the way we live in America is stupid. I noticed there was a bunch of small businesses because the barrier to entry is a lot smaller there. The US, they really don't want you to start a small business, it feels like. I had been looking at other spaces and they were all 3 to 5 year lease, and it was like $5,000 a month. And it's just not accessible for most businesses unless you have outside funding.
We've kind of established like a really dope little community of retailers. A lot of my foot traffic has been organic foot traffic from other businesses like King Can or So Used or the coffee shop.
This is Adrian. He started a fashion label while he was still in high school, and now he's able to use his live-work apartment to also run a retail operation.
Retail leases in Arizona, they're like for 5 years, they're way more expensive than it would be to rent a 1-bedroom apartment in Tempe. So this was also just like a way more accessible way to get a brick and mortar location for my business. The growth has just been like almost exponential.
Do you have this in an Excel?
Only a large, but I think you can fit it.
This is like the perfect spot. It's way less inventory to start up, and then the leases are much more flexible since it is a residential space. You didn't feel like if I break the lease, I'm going to go bankrupt.
I kind of call like an incubator business. You can kind of really test out how it goes. So
It's really Luca's shop.
it is Luca's shop. Yeah, he's the manager. We joke.
I also got to check out the Thursday night Little Choya market that several micro vendors got their start at. It was indeed lovely.
These all your designs?
Yes, I do the artwork for everything.
Oh, it's amazing.
Thank you.
Can I write down a list of the stickers I need, or should I just list them off to you? Pretty solid haul at the Little Troy Night Market. I'm pretty sure this is actually my cat stickers. Cat Ramen, Paladin, looks like my other cat. Pretty sure it's actually Junebug. The Anarchy Frog, it just spoke to me.
But after all that socializing, I needed a break. So I found one of the little reading nooks where I could hide away and read my book. How does this work? Good Lord.
Yeah, so that's really it. Just giving a preview of what they're trying to do with these 15-minute cities and the idea that they're thinking, trying to get into the mind of the beast and, really, deliver that to the people. And there should be one more scripture that I want to get. This is Job chapter 5:12. It says, "He disappointed the devices of the crafty, so that their hands cannot perform their enterprise." Right? Their enterprise being the New World Order, the Great Reset, whatever you want to call it. But the Lord is going to disappoint them so that they can't fully enact that. Like I said, they want to have 500 million people and kill 7.75 million or billion people. They want to run the whole world and have them be as God. When the scripture say that they, sit in the let me see, sit as God. That's not it. It's sitting. I'm terrible at quoting scriptures. I know what it says, but it's just bear with me here. There we go. 2 Thessalonians 2:4 says, who opposeth and exalteth himself above all that is called God or that is worshipped, so that he as God sitteth in the temple of God, showing himself that he is God. Right? That's the so-called white man's whole MO. And this is just how they'll get to it. So I know, this is a long lesson going all the way back to, the natural disasters and the the 15-minute cities, but this is how they're doing it. This is the plan, the blueprint, so to speak. So Lord's Will, this is edifying, and if you still watching, you watch the whole thing, ate the water, and I just want to give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh by Hashem Yahushai by Hashem Karkadash. Giving double honors to the apostles and the elders of GMS who taught me this truth. Salutes and honors to the elect brothers across the four corners who are enduring in truth and sincerity, of the men and women who follow. Shalom.